Good morning, Regina.
Good morning,
Thank you
Hans and
so
Kai.
much for
Good
joining
morning.
us this morning. And first
Thank
of
you for
all,
having me.
could you please explain in brief what is pathological lying?
Okay, it's quite interesting that I will explain about the pathological liar
Mm-hmm.
and pathological lying. Of course, it's like someone has intention to lie compulsively, has no good intention, has no clear motive, has no good reason why they are doing this, but sometimes they have little awareness why they have to do this. They have still a little awareness, but they enjoy it, and they don't feel afraid is if someone figure it out that they are lying.
Mm.
So it's kind of like delusional. It's hard for them. They have difficulty to separate which one is the fiction and which one
Mm.
is the real one. So they create like manipulative stories, and they believe it as part of their experiences.
Wait, they themselves believe it. It's not that lying
Yeah,
for the other person, but also they believe their own lies. Is that true?
yeah.
Now that's
They
certainly very
manipulate the story.
that's certainly very interesting because that's I think the underlying difference. But what distinguishes pathological lying from other forms of dishonesty,
Yeah, like
other than some of the underlying factors that you've already mentioned?
like when I'm lying to my dad and my mom back in the days, back in my youth days.
I'm coughing because I think we've all been through that before.
Of course, it's like different mechanism. Yeah, everyone can do lying. Yeah, like I can lie, everyone can lie, but it's different when it comes like a term from pathologic. It's like something like disorder or disease. So pathological lying is associated with mental health issue and mental health condition
I see.
that they don't have like clear reason, like I explained before. And it's also we know this kind of term in psychology as mythomania or pseudologica fantastica. So it's hard to say, but it's still like trouble behavior. It's not that syndrome in psychology, even if this part of someone personality. And but unpathological lying or unpathological lying is different from a pathological lying because it's not associated with mental health issue or mental health condition like narcissistic personality disorder or antisocial personality disorder, as we know as sociopath. And they do it like consistent. It's different with unpathological. Sometimes we do white lies, but
Yeah.
it has good intention. And also the reason why we have to do this because of to avoid a trouble or avoid someone else's feelings. So yeah, it's different from associated with mental health and not associated with
That's
mental
very
health.
interesting. I just wanted to wrap up and summarize because you mentioned I think the underlying factor here is the fact that there is no intention when it comes to pathological lying, as you mentioned before. That's very interesting.
Now, okay, this is something still new to me. I mean, I would not be able to understand why people just lie for no reason, for no particular reason. But is this kind of thing being built from like a small habit? Like, let's say you lie once and then you lie the other time, and then it became a habit, and the habit became disorder. Is this something like that?
When we are going to say disorder, pathological lying or a pathological liar is not a syndrome. So we cannot say
Oh.
that this is disorder. It's just part of sin or symptom someone can lead to be antisocial personality disorder. So someone with antisocial personality disorder, they might be has this kind of issue. They can be a pathological liar, like that, because it's unofficial in our textbook, like in a psychology textbook or pediatrics, psychiatrics book. So it called DSM-5 to identify or to diagnose someone has mental issue or not. It's an official term because, but still, it's a trouble behavior.
Yep.
We can identify it.
So, what factors actually could influence someone to become to become a pathological liar? Is it external or exactly from inside or internal?
Okay, actually, from the factor, it's really depends of point of view that we will take right now. So if it comes from biological point of view, of course it's different. Like research show that they have different lesion with white lesion and black lesion in the part of the brain for a pathological layer, but from normal people or from the social aspect, it will be like they have issue from the childhood memories. Like people has experiences abuse when they were kid. They got bullied when they were kid. Like we call it as inner child.
Yeah.
It will build the defense mechanism, so they cannot accept who they are. They don't like. They hate themselves. They have low self-esteem. So they are pretending to be someone else that they're not. That's the thing. Like when we can talk about the mental health condition, it's always linked with previous condition.
Yes, yes.
When when they were kid.
Now that you mention it, it came back to me like I've crossed my path with some people who are actually, based on your definition, are pathologicalized.
It's a symptom. It's not the disorder. So that's very interesting because it's a pattern that some of us can tell. But very, very interestingly, you said before that a pathological liar can tell compulsive lies without any clear motive, right? Now, the underlying issue, you'd say it's something like delusion. But how can we, differentiate? Is there a pattern that we can see when somebody is becoming a pathological liar? Do we have to know this person inside out? Because sometimes we don't. Sometimes we don't.
Yeah, because it's not a syndrome, so there's no symptom about it. But still, we can identify if we meet like a psychological liar, and we have to deal with them. It's like we can identify they always put the position of themselves as a victim player, very good victim player in the story, the manipulative story, or they can be a hero to get more empathy from people around, to get sympathy, to be a central of attention, because they didn't get it before. It's like a habit, and they do it like once, twice, and so on and so on and so on. It's like uncountable.
So it's
behavior.
like you can say there is an underlying insecurity that comes. Of course, if we're talking about inner child and a dissatisfaction with self, low self-esteem, there's always an insecurity involved. But yeah, very interesting.
Like, but okay, something that that came to my mind. How can a pathological liar, because you said earlier that a pathological liar tend to believe their own fantasy that they made.
Yep.
And how can one getting out of that situation?
Or a habit
Is this
cycle.
curable or is this treatable, something like that?
Okay, when someone is like they know, okay, I'm lying, and I'm a pathological liar, and they need some of intervention. Of course, if possible, they can get any therapy like cognitive behavior therapy or self-compassion therapy to help them to raise their self-esteem
I
and
see.
self-compassion. Yeah, to love themselves unconditionally can help them to change the framing from the cognitive area.
I think that's very interesting because if you get rid of the insecurity, you will get rid of the need to lie and make up stories, right? I think that's a very it's one thing for us to be able to empathize as somebody who deals with a pathological liar, which comes to my next question. How can we cope with a pathological liar? And how is this particular intervention best to be done? Because it's a sensitive issue if we're talking about self-esteem, if we're talking about childhood
Insecurity.
trauma, insecurity. I mean, you can't just for instance, like you can't just go and sit down somebody and say, Hans, did you know that you're a pathological liar? That's a very, very big.
That would be a strong.
Yeah, it's taboo.
That would be a strong.
Exactly.
Okay, so how we have to deal with this kind of person if we meet the psychological liar? So just being skeptical. We can give the probing question and they feel confused, make them feel confused, like it's really they will answer the question quickly, but the answer it's not answer your question. It always be like that. And also sometimes if we can still with that kind of person, we can try to not really confront, but we can be supportive, like tell them the truth that I know the truth, and just don't try to be someone else that you're not. Just stop making manipulative story that you are valuable, you are worthy. Just tell the truth. We can say something like that also after being skeptical. But for the last thing, if we find the hard way to make them stop do that, so we can like stop engage with them and just let go, because it's very toxic for us, and it will be affect us with negative feelings and negative situation
Yep, yep.
if we let them to do that.
This is what I did.
Yeah.
I just moved on. I took a step back from this kind of situation. So just let me wrap up these things over here, Regina, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. So a pathological liar knows that he or she is lying, but they cannot help it because they have this kind of mental health situation that made them insecure and creating this own persona, their own persona, to be portrayed in public in some certain way to make them look like
They're more or less
they're
than they are.
more appreciative in that kind of sense.
Yeah, not always comes from syndrome, but it's also like come from habit. When we are doing this like once and so on, it will become our part of personality. When it becomes our part of personality, so it's hard for us to automatically has consciousness to change it, and then it becomes syndrome. When we just okay, I let the part of my personality, and I know I was wrong, I was lying, but I feel I don't feel guilty, so it's part of okay, they might become antisocial personality disorder or narcissistic, yeah, or
Yeah,
something like
because
that. It
then
can be
I see. Because I see it. The logic is when it becomes that way, it becomes dissociative, right? It becomes they automatically distance and lose that empathy that a normal human being should
Yeah,
have towards
yeah.
others. Because you don't feel guilty at all.
Yeah, that guilt of lying, if you still have it,
Yeah.
good for you.
Yeah.
Then good
Yeah.
for you.
No, but just out of curiosity, this is a question that I wanted to ask. Is it the same? You know, is you say you said before that pathological liar is like the beginning. You can't help it. It doesn't have motive, but it is different from those people who lie calculatively with motive, right?
yeah, of course it's different, like the pathological lie. You ask like the pathological lying and unpathological lying, right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, it's like white lies has good reason, good intention, and clear motive, and pathological liar, they don't have like any of it. They just being antisocial, just stop thinking about what people think about them. The most important thing is just like me. The most important is like me, and I'm the central of attention, and they don't feel like afraid of anything about
No.
their story.
What I'm trying to say is not white lies per se, but you have those people, and I don't know whether it's actually you're the expert. It's the
Strategically lying.
strategically lying.
Like let's say
you can never tell whether this person is actually telling the
Yes.
truth, and there seems to be a motive behind it. That's not pathological, right?
Let's say it's in some kind of
Yeah.
Political game.
Yes.
Or you
It's a
are in
game, basically.
Like what you can say, poker face.
Yes.
Poker face is strategically lying. That's not the same, no?
Yeah, it's different, of course, because they have clear motive. I mean, in the situation of politics, they put like poker face. Of course, it's different. It's like a public persona, you mean, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
a
that's right.
pathological line. Yeah, it's different because they have motive to avoid the problem or avoid from trouble. They don't want to stuck in there, so they pretending to be someone else that they're not. Like, okay, I'm clean,
Right,
something like that, right?
Or just consciously withholding the truth.
Like, so
Yes.
the obvious difference between pathological
Yeah.
liar and the other, like, strategically liar, like unpathological
Calculative,
liar, is the motive. If you
Yeah.
don't have the clear motive of lying, then you might be a pathological liar. Like, it's different from the strategic and something like
Yeah, that one, I don't know, because I feel like sometimes when people can dissociate themselves from what they're saying, like the poker face or just purposely looking like a mystery, do you get what I mean? Purposely keeping people on edge of their feet, it must be some kind of different, I don't know whether it's a disorder or habit on its own.
But that's probably trained. And something that probably I can add to this is when you face a pathological liar, it's best, I don't know, for me, it's best for me to just back up because I don't have any time. I don't need more drama in my life. Okay.
Well, it's tough if it's family. If it's a person that you can't cut off your life, of course it's possible, but you know, how tough is it though?
So, Regina, can you tell us, or anyone who is watching at the moment dealing with a pathological liar, or now thinking about, hey, I check all the boxes that Regina has been saying, where do we can come for help or therapy or something like that?
Okay, for the pathological liar, maybe someone who watched this is a part of a pathological liar. Yeah, of course, it come to any of psychology bureau or psychology bureau, how to say in English. It's like we call it a psychological associate in my office. Also, they can come and we can give the cognitive behavioral therapy, but it depends on how level that they are, and we have to diagnose it at first, like, okay, with which kind of disorder that they feel, like it's like antisocial or narcissistic, or they only has problem with low self-esteem. So I have to diagnose it first, so and then I can come up with prevention.
So it is actually
it's-
layered, yeah.
But we cannot give like medical curement because there's no medical cure for this kind of behavior.
So it's behavioral
Yeah,
treatment.
it's behavioral treatment.
Well, Regina, it certainly is a pleasure to have you this morning. I'm sorry that during the holidays we have to talk about something so heavy.
Yes.
But we see these kind of people all the time, especially in family gatherings where they have to lie and make bigger stories, right? And luckily, some of us have the awareness to either just yes or stay away or just be empathic about it. But Regina, thank you so much for the talk and the time. Stay safe. And we'll talk to you another day about another issue that we'd love to, you know, pick your brains about.
Yes. Happy holiday, Regina.
Thank you for having me today. I'm so
Thank
happy.
you.